And therefore, a person has to keep his goals in mind. What is the essential qualities that he has? What is his goal? He has to always know, ma chavaso bolamo. You always have to pull back and ask yourself, what is your obligation in life? Where are you going? What is it all about? What is it for?
My father's father, my grandfather, Moshe, he understood that without any true, strong education to his children, they will all get swallowed with the American culture and society. See, he moved out of Boston to New York to make sure that his children will have a Jewish education, a proper Jewish education. He pushed my father, you must become a rabbi. I wanted my family a rabbi. And he pushed my father, Olav Hasholem, to become a rabbi and a leader. My father grew up in a family with 6 children. He had 3 brothers and 2 sisters. All of them were leaders. Right away when he was young, he felt that need to spread God in the spiritual desert of America. He went into Yeshiva Katana in Eitz Chaim in Manhattan, and then he continued in Chofetz Chaim Yeshiva.
He learned in Chofetz Chaim, to the best of my knowledge, I think 18 years. There was some point in time when I know there was Talmidim in Har Zion who thought that with time the Rebbe did not follow the Chofetz Chaim derech. So the Rabbi sent, I believe, Rabbi Schultz Zatzal to ask Rav Chenuch, does Rabbi Goldstein follow the derech of the Chofetz Chaim Yeshiva? What was the answer? Rav Chenuch laughed. And he said, well, he has to. He doesn't know anything else.
The youth rebellion of the 1960s symbolized the inherent crisis in the values of modern society, which provided no solutions for the human soul. Permissiveness and abundance were no substitute for spirituality.
People knew something was wrong. I mean, my generation knew that there was something wrong, that the meaning of life could not be a 9-to-5 job. And that's what life is, and you do that for 120 years and you die. It can't be.
Jewish youth were prominent in this revolution. In their search for identity, many approached Rabbi Mordechai Goldstein in New York. He was the first to open the gates of repentance for the thousands of Jewish young people who are now returning to their heritage.
Back then, when Rabbi Goldstein started his yeshiva, right after the Six-Day War, many young Jewish people came to Israel and feeling the glow of the miracle of that war, they were looking for their Jewish roots and Jewish heritage, but there was no place to go because the so-called traditional Torah world, yeshiva world, was not open to them. The doors were not open for them.
Jerusalem is calling, Jerusalem is calling.
And Rabbi Goldstein opened his arms to everybody, to anybody. So therefore, any backpack traveling hippie was welcome by the Rebbe to come and to learn Torah.
Rabbi Dr. Shmuel Zalman Kahana was the director of the Ministry of Religion of the State of Israel for 25 years. He built Mount Zion. He was a rabbi of Mount Zion. His father was the rabbi of Mount Zion in the Old City right before the 48 war. He was searching to give over Mount Zion to a leader that were able to cope and to hold in him all different types of Jews.
The meeting between Rabbi Goldstein and Dr. S.Z. Kahana, Director General of the Ministry of Religions and the official responsible for Mount Zion, was undoubtedly part of some divine plan. Rabbi Goldstein proved to be the right man at the right time as he signed the Mount Zion Declaration and undertook the difficult mission of establishing the Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion. That's how it all started. People began to hear about a unique study center in Jerusalem on Mount Zion, which unlocked the treasured secrets of the Torah to all Jews. Slowly but surely, the Diaspora Yeshiva began to reinforce its student body and achieve worldwide renown. 20 years later,
is like a flock of sheep.
The Diaspora Yeshiva has become a vital Torah center.
Let's say you need a fence. 4.
Its young students take their first steps in the Torah world and acquire the rudiments of Jewish study. Over the years, they become learned Torah scholars, rabbis, and judges. The Diaspora Yeshiva has produced a generation of world Jewish leaders, exemplifying the time-tested paths of the Jewish tradition and heritage.
I'd like to sing a little song right now that I wrote for my parents after I came to Jerusalem, found my way here into Diaspora Yeshiva, started keeping beautiful Shabbases right here on this holy mountain. And I wanted to express to them, from the deepest part of myself, that what I had found was, not just another mishigas or another trip or just another temporary stopover before I changed into some other kind of butterfly. This is called Shabbat Shalom. It's nice to be at home, and I want to dedicate this now to my wife and my children and my parents and everybody's mothers and fathers and wives and children and friends and everybody.
When a chassan and kala get married, it's a very spiritual thing. It's the beginning of a new life, guiding their children the way they want. The husband is the king and the wife is the queen. And they know that above them is God, and they want to follow his ways.
Rosh Yeshiva always said once a person would taste the sweetness of Torah, when he would get them involved in a piece of Torah, once they taste the sweetness of it themselves, he doesn't have to convince them or lure them or argue them or cajole them. At that point, the person they fall in love. Speaking of falling in love, what was a person supposed to do if they wanted to really have a life of Torah? How are they supposed to find a mate? How are they supposed to find a wife?
Well, the Rebbe had the chachma to open the girls' school. I mean, my wife came straight to the door of the Beis Midrash. I mean, it's really true. She came straight to the door of the Beis Midrash. I walked out the door and there she was.
Opposite the HaRav Synagogue in the heart of the Old City's Jewish quarter is the Diaspora Yeshiva's Women's Hebrew Institute. Alongside its full program for men, the Diaspora Yeshiva has not neglected the woman's role and has placed much emphasis on broadening Jewish horizons.
I lived in the dorm with about 11 other girls. I had the time of my life. I made such good friends that they're still my best friends today. And we would stay up all night talking about Torah. And it was revolutionary for me and for my friends in those days to learn Torah. And the Rebbe treated us like his own daughters. He never turned anyone away. He had so much patience for us. And we were so emotional in those days learning Torah that it was very common for girls to actually run out of the classroom in tears because we were so excited and moved.
So therefore, by wearing these garments that the Kohen Gadol is going to wear, it gives off these spiritual vibrations, not the physical vibrations of colors.
We used to have a wedding every week. You would schedule your wedding when the one before you, when the Sheva Bracha ended, you would schedule your wedding. And then you would have your Sheva Brachas, and another couple would get married. And this is how it was.
We got married on Har Zion. Our chuppah was actually outside what used to be the old office. Of course, the music was provided by Diaspora Yeshiva Band.
I had a trunk. And in the trunk, I had a clarinet. Because I played the clarinet. I didn't play it for years. And then one day, a guy got engaged and made a little party, and Avram Rosenblum was playing his guitar, and he said, "Go get your clarinet." So I got the clarinet. And that was really the beginning of the band.
My father used to create many events, Melav Malka, the famous Melav Malka in King David's tomb, with the Diaspora Yeshiva band and drawing the youth, connecting to the yeshiva.
And that was just real to us. We feel that through the music we can make real for other people and hopefully be mekarev, draw other people closer.
And also we had a lot of children, which was unheard of. I mean, now the parents were in America all wondering what's going on. Another kid. At a certain point, you used to hide it from your parents, but built big families. It's unbelievable.
The Jewish agency allocated land for settlement to the Diaspora Yeshiva. Symbolically, we learned that Matzad is located at the site where King David assembled his troops some 2,500 years ago. This vital link with Mount Zion is reinforced each morning at school.
We used to send 3 school buses of school children, elementary school for the girls, the Beis Yaakov for the girls, and the Cheder for the boys, and we took responsibility for the education of our children with the Rebbe's blessing and guidance.
So you have to understand the ruach of your son, ruach of what it is, the relationship, the connection. And as a father, you have to mitgaher.
I came when I was a bocher in the 1970. I was married, and I think it was 26 years before I paid a single bill. No rent, no water, no electricity, and all of that was the rabbi making it more possible for his students to sit and learn Torah and raise their families and take off some of the pressures.
The community that he created on Matzad was something anybody who was there will never forget it, and it's hard to replicate it. It's almost like those people that you grew up in the yeshiva with are like your family. And the yeshiva was like one big family. The doors were open, nobody was afraid, the kids would walk around. My kids loved the yeshiva. I mean, it was tremendous.
Rav Yisrael, the Rebbe's oldest son, the Rav of Matzad, was really the moving force behind it.
The first 7 months we had no road. They used to bring water with trucks. For the first 10 years we were on a generator. It was mud, rain, roofs flew, a very windy place. And we had to start it from the beginning. We planted trees, we built the place. So it's Azorim Bedima, but at the end you get the fruits. And the fruits it's a place for today for Torah, and it's growing and growing.
I remember one time I used to drive the Rebbe around a lot. He said to me, he says, "I hate those guys who learn all day." I'm like, "What? I mean, you told us to learn, you always tell us to learn all day." "I hate those guys who learn all day." I said, "What are you talking about? What do you mean?" He says, "I hate those guys who learn all day. In the end, they don't bar mitzvah Torah. They don't spread Torah. At the end, after you learn and you're a Talmid Chacham, you have to spread Torah. You have to help Klal Yisrael. You have to be like Avram Avinu."
Avram Avinu was the father. He was our father. The Rebbe was like my father.
And he saw in us a spark of light and a spark of hope for the future for the Jewish people. He really, really, really believed in us. And he dedicated his life 24/7 to us. And I'd like to just say to everybody or anybody who didn't know him, you missed meeting a great man. And those who did know him knew that they met a great man. And people who learned with him and worked with him were raised by him and taken care of him, knew that there was somebody in the world that cared about him, a human being of flesh and blood. That was Rabbi Mordechai Goldstein. And I, at this particular point, just feel overwhelmed to have the opportunity to say to the whole world how great he was, and to say for me, I have a chorus Hatov that will never end for he and his family, right? Because he gave me back the Torah, he gave me back my soul, he gave me back a life that was worth living 24/7.
So I want to say thank you to all his children for sharing their parents with us and allowing us to have a relationship with their father. And Hashem should bless them.
If we can build Mount Zion, build our Jewish youth up again, and give them that vitalization, the rejuvenation that they need, then we'll be able to be an example, a moral example for the whole world to keep morality, justice, love, care that the world is looking for, that the world is searching for the Jewish nation, for the Jewish state to show them in the world. What is the Jewish people? What is the secrets of the Jew? And we will show them it's the Bible, it's the oral law. Here it is. Not only it exists in words, but it exists in practice. And we are the ombudsman for the whole world. And we can stand without blemish with morality and justice and care, and be a nation that's different, and the nation that we're supposed to be, that we're designated by God to bring forth into the world. And that is what is meant. From Mount Zion will come forth the Torah. The Diaspora Yeshiva is the most serious institution that can be, and we want to play that role.
זמירות היו לי חוקיך בבית מגוריי, זמירות היו לי חוקיך בבית מגוריי, צחקתי בלילה שמך השם ואשמר את תורתך, זמירות היו לי חוקיך בבית מגוריי.
If you're in a forest and you're lost and you don't know what you're going to do and your water runs out and you don't have a telephone and you have nowhere to go and all of a sudden someone shows up and says, "Here, I'm going to show you the way," what do you feel about that person?